Welcome back to another dive into the chaos that is r/Askreddit. Today's question is one of those golden setups that guarantees drama, regret, and a whole lot of secondhand embarrassment. Reddit user asks, "What's your ultimate mouth wrote a check your butt couldn't cash moment?" Now if you've never heard that phrase before, it's simple. It's when someone talks big, makes bold claims, starts a fight, brags beyond belief, and then reality comes in to humble them, usually fast and usually in front of an audience. From bar fights and public flops to gym showdowns and unfortunate attempts at stunts, these stories are the perfect storm of ego and karma. You'll laugh, you'll cringe, and you might even think twice next time you feel like popping off. Let's get into the madness. We've all been there, or at least witnessed it. That one friend or random stranger who gets a little too bold after a few drinks. Or maybe they're just naturally cocky. They say something like, "I could totally do that," or "I bet I could take that guy." And suddenly the vibe shifts. Everyone stops what they're doing, eyes go wide, and someone starts filming. What follows is usually never pretty. Sometimes it's a physical disaster like falling flat on your face or getting knocked out in one punch. Other times, it's a public roasting you'll never emotionally recover from. Either way, it's unforgettable. And that's exactly what today's stories are about. People who let their confidence run faster than their actual ability, whether it's physical strength, skills, or pure common sense. What makes it better is that most of these moments happened in front of a crowd, making the embarrassment sting just a little more. So buckle up. These are the cautionary tales you'll be quoting the next time someone says, "Hold my drink." It was the middle of summer. Sun blazing, burgers sizzling, music blasting. Classic backyard barbecue vibes. Everyone was chilling, laughing, plates stacked with ribs and potato salad. Then enters that guy. We'll call him Chad because, of course. Chad shows up shirtless, wearing sunglasses with the tag still on, and starts talking a mile a minute. Says he used to be a parkour instructor, used to do backflips off roofs. Could still do one right now if he wanted to. No one asks him to prove it, but of course that doesn't stop him. He points to the wooden picnic table near the grill and says, "Bet I could flip off that and stick the landing." A few people laugh nervously. One person says, "Don't hurt yourself, man." Chad just smirks. He climbs up like he's prepping for a gymnastics routine. Everyone stops to watch. People start recording, because of course they do. Chad counts down. 3, 2, 1. He jumps, and gravity does what gravity always does. Mid-spin, his foot clips the edge of the table. He spirals sideways, lands hard, flat, on his back, knocking the wind out of himself. The sound it made? Somewhere between a slap and a wet thud. Everyone gasps. Then silence. Then laughter. Like full body. Can't breathe. Wiping tears, laughter. Chad lies there, groaning, staring up at the sky, probably rethinking every decision that led to this moment. Ambulance? Number but ego. Fully broken. It was a slow Thursday night at the college rec center. Mostly regulars. Guys lifting, girls on the treadmills, people minding their own business. Then this guy walks in. We'll call him Tyler. Tall, wiry, backwards hat, tank top that says "no pain, no gain." You know the type. Tyler starts benching lightweight, but making a lot of noise, grunting, slamming weights, looking around to see who's watching. When no one gives him the attention he wants, he moves over to the heavy bag, throws a few sloppy punches, then turns and says, "Bet no one here could last 30 seconds with me." Big mistake. In the corner, stretching quietly, is a dude in basketball shorts and a faded hoodie. Looks like he hasn't even broken a sweat yet. Doesn't say a word. Tyler notices him and says, "What about you, hoodie guy? Want to spar?" Hoodie guy looks up, shrugs. Sure. Everyone stops what they're doing. A small crowd forms. Someone grabs boxing gloves from the lost and found. They square up in the open mat area. Tyler bouncing on his feet like a YouTuber before a staged street fight. Hoodie guy, still dead calm. Tyler throws the first punch. A wild hook that completely misses. Then it happens. Hoodie guy steps in with perfect form, lands a single right cross straight to Tyler's jaw. Clean. Clinical. Tyler drops like a sack of potatoes. No struggle, no follow-up punches. Just one clean shot and a very loud thud. Silence. Even the treadmill beeps stop for a second. Someone finally says, "Holy crap, is he breathing?" He is. Barely. Eyes glazed over, mouth open, ego in pieces. Turns out, hoodie guy was an amateur MMA fighter who competed regionally. Used to be a state-level wrestler too. Tyler didn't come back to the gym for 2 weeks. When he did, he kept his earbuds in and his mouth shut. It was homecoming weekend at a mid-sized college. Packed stadium, marching band playing, fans hyped. On the sidelines, the school mascot, a giant purple bear with sunglasses, was doing goofy dances, tossing mini footballs into the crowd. Enter Chad 2.0. This guy had clearly pre-gamed hard. Shirt halfway tucked in, screaming at the opposing team's fans, trying to start chants that no one wanted. Then, for reasons unknown, he turns on the mascot. "Hey, Fluffy, come fight me." At first, it's funny. The mascot waves him off and dances away. But Chad keeps going, starts following the mascot around, getting in his space, trying to trip him, even yanks on the bear tail. Security starts moving in, but before they can get there, the mascot turns around, still wearing the full fuzzy costume, and gestures, "Come at me," with both paws. Chad swings. Big mistake. The mascot ducks, steps in, and body slams this guy, like full-on wrestling takedown. The bear head stays on. The crowd goes absolutely wild. Security backs off, realizing this guy just got what he asked for. Once Chad's on the ground groaning, the mascot casually walks away like nothing happened, throws up a peace sign to the crowd, and gets back to tossing foam footballs. Later, we find out the guy inside the suit was a junior heavyweight on the college wrestling team. Strong, fast, and trained. Apparently, this wasn't even the first time he'd had to handle a drunk fan. Chad was escorted out, limping and confused, his pride absolutely annihilated. And the mascot, instant legend. People started chanting his name like he'd scored the winning touchdown. It became a meme on campus. "Don't mess with the bear." Picture this. It's Halloween weekend and the downtown bars are packed. There's a themed bar crawl going on, and this entire rugby team shows up dressed as superheroes. Full commitment, capes, masks, tights. One guy's Robin costume is, let's say, very green and very tight. They're clearly there to have fun, not start trouble. But of course, there's always that group. A few frat bros across the bar start making comments. At first, it's harmless. Just immature jokes about spandex wedgies and Robin's bulge. But they won't let it go. Robin ignores them at first, sips his drink, laughs it off. But then the leader of the frat bros gets bold. Walks over, slaps Robin's drink out of his hand and says, "Go back to the bat cave, loser." Big mistake. Without saying a word, Robin steps forward and lands a punch so fast, the guy drops instantly. His two friends try to rush in, but before they can even square up, two other superheroes, literally, a guy dressed as the Flash and another as Captain America. Step in and shut it down. It's over in less than 10 seconds. Everyone in the bar freezes. The bartender just nods and says, "Yeah, they're rugby players. You had that coming." Robin picks up what's left of his drink, adjusts his mask, and calmly returns to his table. The frat bros are helped out by security, holding their faces and their dignity. The best part? Someone filmed the whole thing and added comic book sound effects. Pow wow, bam, crunch. It went viral within hours. Moral of the story? Don't pick fights with guys who tackle for fun, and especially not when they're wearing tights and have nothing left to prove. It was a late night at a Waffle House somewhere in the South, and the place was buzzing with the usual mix of regulars, night shift workers, and a couple of loud drunks looking for a meal or a fight. Behind the counter stood Isaac, a Polynesian short-order cook, stocky and built like a fire hydrant. At about 5 feet 4 inches, he looked more like a tough little tank than a chef, and those who knew him understood he wasn't a man to mess with. That night, a drunk couple stumbled in, slurring and carrying on, making a scene over spilled drinks and loud insults. Isaac ignored them at first, focused on flipping hash browns and cracking eggs with practiced ease. But the couple's antics escalated. The guy got right in Isaac's face, sneered, and then, without warning, spit right on him. Everyone froze. The entire restaurant held their breath as Isaac did something surprising. Slowly, methodically, he took off his apron and folded it neatly. Then he peeled off his work shirt and folded it just as neatly. No yelling, no sudden moves. Just calm, precise preparation. Then Isaac turned back to the drunk guy. What happened next was almost poetic. Isaac delivered a punch so precise, so powerful, it left the drunk man crumpled on the floor in seconds. The hit was so hard you could almost see the force ripple through the air. Isaac didn't even breathe hard. He calmly picked up his shirt and apron, put them back on, and finished his cigarette outside as the cops arrived to haul the drunk couple away. The woman quickly sobered up and started cooperating once she realized the cops weren't messing around. The whole restaurant watched in stunned silence, a mix of awe and disbelief filling the air. Isaac was like a quiet storm, calm, collected, and utterly deadly when pushed. That night became legend at that Waffle House. And Isaac? Well, everyone knew not to mess with the short-order cook who could turn a simple kitchen apron into a symbol of instant karma. At a small, dimly lit dive bar, the kind of place where the neon lights flicker and the smell of old beer lingers, sat a quiet old man wearing a worn veteran's hat. He wasn't bothering anyone, nursing a whiskey and quietly watching the game on the TV. But then a young guy, full of misplaced bravado and a little too much liquid courage, decided to stir the pot. He sauntered over and started mocking the old man, imitating his slow movements and making loud jokes about old-timers and has-beens. The bar quieted down. You could almost feel the tension build like static electricity. The old man didn't say a word at first, just took a slow sip of his drink and watched the young guy with calm eyes. Then, when the young guy got cocky enough to lean in and throw a disrespectful comment, the old man moved like lightning. Without warning, he flipped the younger man over his shoulder, sending him crashing to the floor. Silence. The young guy lay there stunned, the air knocked out of him. The bar erupted in laughter and cheers, people clapping and whistling for the veteran's quick response. The old man tipped his hat slightly, took another sip, and muttered, "Respect goes both ways, kid." That moment reminded everyone there why some fights aren't worth starting, especially when you underestimate the quiet ones who've seen it all. On a chaotic punk music night at a local club, the usual crowd was buzzing with energy. The band was wild, and so were the skinheads who had come out looking for trouble. A large Native American guy, calm but clearly not someone to mess with, was getting hassled by the group. They were throwing insults and trying to provoke him. One skinhead, dressed in a white outfit and bowler hat, like a character from Clockwork Orange, got right in the native guy's face, smirking and trying to make him flinch. After some back and forth, the skinhead suddenly slapped the native guy hard across the face. The entire room held its breath. The native guy stood up from his bar stool, towering over the skinhead by more than 1.5 feet. Without a word, he put a firm hand around the skinhead's throat, grabbed him, and walked him out through the side emergency exit. There were panicked screams and noises, kicks and struggles, for maybe 30 seconds before everything stopped. Then, the native guy returned, calmly walking back inside, now wearing the skinhead's bowler hat. The skinhead, never seen again that night. The crowd went wild with a mix of shock, awe, and applause. It was a reminder that sometimes, calm power and quiet strength speak louder than any insults thrown. At a loud NASCAR event many years ago, the atmosphere was thick with beer, excitement, and the smell of burnt rubber. A group of young guys, probably in their early 20s, spotted some older men's RV parked nearby. When the older group wandered off to party elsewhere, the young guys saw their chance and swiped a bottle of booze right from the table. What they didn't realize was one of the older men was slower, nursing a bum knee that kept him from moving quickly. When the older group found out about the theft, a few of them confronted the younger guys. At first, it was all words and heated stares. The young guys thought they had the upper hand, until the slower old man stepped up. Despite his knee, he wasn't about to back down. The loudest, most confident kid in the group tried to intimidate him, circling around and throwing taunts like, "You don't have your buddies now. Want to say that again?" The old man smiled, a slow, knowing smile, and replied coolly, "Your buddies might take me down, but you'll be asleep before they do." With that, the kid lunged forward, but the old man caught him with the perfect hook. The kid hit the ground hard, completely knocked out before he even knew what happened. The rest of the group froze, stunned. Then the older men's friends came running back, realizing their buddy had just handled business. It was a moment that stuck with everyone watching, proof that sometimes experience and calm confidence beat youth and arrogance every time. Inside a grim prison yard, tensions ran high between inmates. One day, a young punk decided to pick on a mentally challenged inmate who kept to himself but worked out regularly to cope with his frustrations. The punk, thinking he was tough, started pushing and taunting the bigger inmate. At first, the mentally challenged man didn't respond, but the punk kept escalating things, throwing punches and insults. Then suddenly, the inmate fought back with a steady stream of precise lefts and rights, wearing the punk down. The crowd gathered around, watching the slow but relentless beatdown. The punk managed to land maybe 2 solid punches, but it wasn't enough. The mentally challenged man's strength and determination overwhelmed him. Finally, the inmate grabbed the punk by the belt and collar, throwing him into a heavy metal sink nearby. The sink shattered, and without hesitation, the inmate began using the broken sink as a weapon, pounding the punk mercilessly. When it was over, the punk was left with a broken cheekbone, nose, orbital bone, a few missing teeth, and stitches in multiple places. He was completely outmatched. His bravado shattered along with the sink. That incident was a brutal reminder. Underestimating someone based on appearance or abilities can lead to serious consequences, especially behind bars. Looking back on all these wild stories, there's one clear mistake everyone shares: underestimating someone based on looks, size, or calmness. Whether it's a short order cook, an old veteran, or a guy in a mascot costume, ego and blind confidence push people to throw challenges they simply can't back up. The phrase, "mouth wrote a check your butt couldn't cash," perfectly captures this. People talk big, throw insults, and make threats without thinking about the consequences. In every story, that arrogance leads to embarrassment, swift payback, or downright knockout moments. It's a reminder that respect and humility go a long way, whether you're at a bar, a sports event, or a prison yard. When someone challenges you or tries to provoke you, sometimes the smartest move is walking away. But if you do choose to stand your ground, be prepared to face the unexpected. In the end, these stories show how quickly things can flip when people bite off more than they can chew. Ego can be dangerous, and sometimes the quietest person packs the biggest punch. And that's a wrap for today's r/Askreddit deep dive into "mouth wrote a check your butt couldn't cash" stories. We heard everything from knockout punches in green spandex to kitchen apron justice, and even some surprising wisdom from old veterans. Which story was your favorite? Do you have a wild moment where someone talked big but got knocked down hard? Drop your thoughts in the comments below or share your own story. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more Reddit stories, and check out my podcast where I share these episodes in audio form. Your support means the world. Stay tuned for the next episode where we dive into even crazier Reddit threads you won't want to miss. Thanks for listening, and remember, think before you speak, or your mouth might just write a check your butt can't cash.